I'm Jason Bovada, and these are my 2022 NFL Week 2 picks. Okay, so we're going to start with the Thursday night game, the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe Mahomes threw like 5 touchdowns on the Cardinals this past weekend. So I'm going to take these Kansas City Chiefs on a money line. The Chargers are pretty good. They did cover versus the Las Vegas Raiders. That line was, I believe, 2.5, 3.5. And the Chargers covered in that game. The Chiefs also covered in their game versus the Cardinals. But this is a close division game. These two teams are very close in the division. They play very close games. So I'm just going to take the Chiefs on the money line. I don't think the Chargers are going to beat the Chiefs. So I'm not going to take the points or give any points. So I'll just take the Chiefs on a money line for the Thursday night game. The Carolina Panthers lost at home to the Cleveland Browns, and the New York Giants won on the road versus the Tennessee Titans. This is kind of crazy, but I've kind of lost all hope in the Carolina Panthers, so I'm gonna take the New York Giants on a money line, right? I'm not going to give points for the New York Giants, but I do believe they probably do win this game. Carolina did not look good in that game, and if they couldn't get up to play against the Cleveland Browns, then I don't think they're going to be up on the road to beat the New York Giants, right? So I'm going to take the New York Giants on a money line. The Indianapolis Colts tied with the Houston Texans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars lost versus the Washington football team. So I'm gonna this is kind of crazy. I think Matt Ryan threw the ball like 50 times, right? Versus Houston, so I'm not too crazy about that. They do have Jonathan Taylor. You would think he did run for over 100 yards, so it was just they had a lot of offense there. I'm gonna take the Jaguars plus 4 points. You're getting 4 points at home versus a team that just tied the Houston Texans. I believe the Colts were on the road for that game, so back-to-back road games for the Colts. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, they did have the ball on the final drive with an opportunity to win the game versus the Washington football team, but they couldn't score. So at home, getting 4 points, I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Indianapolis Colts. I think they're going to take a few more weeks to get Matt Ryan into that offense. Like I said, I think he threw the ball 50 times, and Jonathan Taylor did run the ball well, but it wasn't well enough as they ended with a tie versus the Houston Texans on the road. So I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars, getting 4 points. They did not cover versus the Washington football team. Jacksonville was plus 2.5, and they did not cover that game. So it's kind of crazy taking this. But the Colts, they were the largest favorite this past weekend. The line jumped up to 8.5. I think it closed at 7, and they didn't cover. So both teams didn't cover. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars plus 4 points. Kind of crazy. Next game, Miami Dolphins versus the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, they played the Jets. I can't say they looked great. What was the score in that game? Hold on, let me see. The Ravens, it was 24-9. The Ravens were a 7-point favorite in that game versus the Jets. This will be their first home game. I just feel like that Miami offense is a little bit too high powered, and the Ravens are not really known for like quote unquote blowing teams out. So I don't really like taking them on the spread. So I'm gonna take the Miami Dolphins getting 4 points, right? A lot of people probably think the Dolphins could outright win this game. So if you're gonna give me 4 points, I'm gonna take 4 points for the Miami Dolphins. Next game, I'm gonna take the Cleveland Browns minus 6.5. Seems kind of crazy, but like I said, I'm gonna fade the New York Jets all season. They only scored 9 points in this game versus the Ravens at home. So I think going on the road to dog pound versus the Cleveland Browns, coming off of a win, I think the Cleveland Browns cover this. If it was 7.5, I probably would just take the Cleveland Browns on the money line. But 6.5, that's basically one touchdown. So I'm gonna take I'll take the Cleveland Browns to cover that line, minus 6.5. Washington Commanders versus the Detroit Lions. I'm gonna skip this game. The Detroit Lions, they looked well. They looked pretty good. I think they put up, how many points did they put up? 35 points versus the Eagles. That game was at home. So Washington football teams, they won their game at home, but the Lions lost their game. Maybe 1.5 points, maybe a little bit too much for the Washington Commanders. I don't really have much skin in this game, and I gotta be honest, I don't really care who wins the game. So I'm just gonna skip that game. The Atlanta Falcons and the Los Angeles Rams. The Atlanta Falcons are now getting 11 points. That Rams offense looked terrible. But the question is, was it the Rams offense that looked that bad, or was it the Buffalo Bills defense that's just that good? The Falcons, they lost to the Saints. They lost at home to the Saints. I believe that game was by 1 point. It was 20. Let me see. The score was 27-26, but that's a division game. Falcons are coming off of a loss. I don't love this pick, but 11 points seems like a little bit too much. The Rams, they are coming off of basically they lost the first game to the Buffalo Bills. That was like 11 days ago, so they have a lot of time to recover and game plan for this game. Like I said, the Falcons coming off of a pretty close loss to the Saints. They were underdogs in that game at minus 5.5 for the most part. They covered that spread. Now they're getting 11 points. I lost money on the Rams in week 1. They were getting plus 3 points versus the Buffalo Bills at home. This is their second game at home. How many points did they score in that first game? They scored 10 points. See, they only scored 10 points in the first game, and now you're going to give them 11 points? I got to take the Atlanta Falcons. Maybe I'm a little bit too biased on the Rams, but the whole world was paying attention to them in that first game, and they didn't look good at all. What is this? Come on. What are we doing? Jesus. Okay, next game is the Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers. Seattle Seahawks play tomorrow night for the Monday night game for the final game of week 1. San Francisco 49ers lost on the road to the Chicago Bears. I believe San Francisco only scored 10 points in that game. I'm going to have to take Seattle, right? I'm just going to take plus 8.5. These lines are insane. There's so many large lines. We don't know how bad Seattle's going to look. It will be coming off of a short week, but this is a division game. I'm surprised 49ers are giving 8.5. I cannot understand how the 49ers, who lost week 1 to the Bears, are now giving 8.5 points to Seattle Seahawks. I'm surprised this line is even up, but I'm going to have to jump on the Seattle Seahawks. Like I said a few weeks ago, I fell out of love with San Francisco 49ers with this Trey Lance stuff. There was a lot of questions going into the preseason, and he did not look good in the preseason, and he didn't look good in the first game. They lost the first game. 8.5 points for a division game seems completely outrageous, especially for a team that's 0-1. I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks blindly. This is even before they play the Broncos tomorrow night. But 8.5 points for a division game for a team coming off of a loss. Maybe Seattle may even be coming off of a loss. But the San Francisco 49ers, their loss is going to even be worse because they lost to the Bears. Broncos are pretty official, and Seattle could win that game tomorrow night, which is why I'm not even betting on it. The Monday night game between Seattle and the Broncos. So I'm gonna take 8.5 points if you're gonna give me 8.5 points for a division game. Next game, Arizona Cardinals versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Both teams are coming off of a loss. Cardinals lost pretty badly to the Kansas City Chiefs. Cardinals was at home. The Las Vegas Raiders lost by about 5 points. I believe it was 5 points to the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't really want to give 3.5 points. It seems pretty easy just to take the Raiders on a money line, right? Just put them in the money line. I don't want to give any points. I do believe they will win this game, obviously. See, Arizona clearly does not play well without Hopkins. So this will be the Raiders' first game of this season. I'm just going to take them on a money line, right? Their offense only, I think they only scored like 19 points in week 1. So I don't want to give too many points to the Cardinals. It should be a pretty good game, but Raiders at home, I'm going to take the money line with the Raiders. Denver Broncos versus the Houston Texans. Obviously, Denver's at home. I'm not going to give 10.5 points. I think a lot of this number is probably going to drop after Denver plays Seattle, depending on the outcome of that game. I don't see the number jumping. Like, I don't see Denver being 12.5-point favorites or anything like that. Maybe they, who knows? Maybe they go in tomorrow night and they just blow out Seattle. Maybe this number does jump. So for that, I'm just going to take Denver on a money line. As I said, Denver has not played their first game of the season yet, so we don't know how well they look, and they will be playing on a Monday night, so they have a kind of a short week. This will be the first game at home for Denver. Houston coming off of a tie. They were winning that game most of the game versus the Indianapolis Colts, but they ended up tying the game versus the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm just going to take Denver on a money line. I believe Denver should at least be able to win that game. I'm not going to give 10.5 points. As I said, Houston covered the largest spread of the weekend of week 1. The number was as high as 8.5. I think it closed at 7, but Houston did cover that line. Next game is the Tennessee Titans versus the Buffalo Bills. I'm surprised this line isn't higher, right? The Tennessee Titans coming off of a home loss to the New York Giants, and the Buffalo Bills coming off of a road win over the Super Bowl champions. I think this number probably goes higher. I'm shocked that this number isn't higher. This will be a revenge game. I do remember Tennessee and Buffalo played last season, and Buffalo lost that game in Tennessee. So, they have a problem with the run. So I'm just going to take the Buffalo Bills on a money line. Something about these, as I say, these 9 points, you see 9, 10.5, 8.5, 11 points. Like these, I don't know what, these are like college football numbers. So I'm a little bit surprised that these are NFL numbers. Buffalo did cover the spread versus the Rams. They were, 2.5-point favorites versus the Rams. Now they're going to give 9.5 points. Like I said, they did lose to the Tennessee Titans last season. Remember, Buffalo also lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 1 last season. So they lose some of these games. I don't want to give too many points. Even though I'm taking them on the money line, I just think the better bet for, for a large parlay like this will just be putting the Buffalo Bills in a money line instead of taking them against the spread. But I think the line is actually low, I got to be honest. Tennessee, like I said, they're coming off of a home loss to the New York Giants. So we don't trust that Tennessee offense at all. Next line, the Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I've said I'm going to hammer the Philadelphia Eagles all season. Both teams coming off of week 1 wins. The Vikings defeated the Green Bay Packers. The Packers almost always lose their first games early in the season. So I'm not going to go too far with that. And the Eagles, they did not cover. They were minus 5.5 favorites versus the Detroit Lions. They only defeated the Lions by, I think, 3 points. And they gave up 35 points to the Lions. So saying that out loud, I got to take the Vikings plus 3 points. I think the Vikings could probably win this game outright. Even though I'm still high on the Eagles, giving them 35 points to the Lions is not a good look, at least in my opinion. So that's a lot of the lines still are not out for week 2. As you can see, it's 10 p.m. right now, Sunday night. So we have to wait a little bit later for a few of these lines. I like to throw a few more things into this parlay. There's just one event this weekend. There's a boxing event this weekend. We got Canelo versus Triple G. Obviously, I'm going to throw Canelo into this parlay to make it a 12-team parlay. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we have a 12-team parlay plus 35 165. We're gonna take Canelo minus 600. The Minnesota Vikings plus 3 against the spread. We're gonna take the Buffalo Bills. We're gonna on a money line. The Las Vegas Raiders on a money line. The Denver Broncos on a money line. Seattle Seahawks plus 8.5 against the spread. The Atlanta Falcons plus 11 points against the spread. The New York Giants on a money line. The Jacksonville Jaguars plus 4 points on against the spread. The Cleveland Browns minus 6.5 points versus the Jets. I think that number is low. That number seems low. The Miami Dolphins plus 4 points against the spread, and the Kansas City Chiefs on a money line. We will risk. Let me see what we're gonna risk here. A 12-team parlay will risk $3.27. We'll risk $3.27 to win $1,149.86. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my NFL plus one boxing, NFL Week 2 picks. We're taking Canelo minus 600 against Triple G. We're taking the Minnesota Vikings plus 3 points. We're taking the Buffalo Bills on a money line. We're taking the Las Vegas Raiders on a money line. The Denver Broncos on a money line. Seattle Seahawks plus 8.5 points. The Atlanta Falcons plus 11 points. The New York Giants on a money line. The Jacksonville Jaguars plus 4 points against the spread. The Cleveland Browns minus 6.5 points against the spread. The Miami Dolphins plus 4 points against the spread. And the Kansas City Chiefs on a money line. Will I go 12-0 or will I go 0-12? Let me know your 2022 NFL Week 2 picks. Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? Who's your lock of the week? What's your pick of the week? Who's your favorite home team? Who's your favorite road team? What's your upset of the week? / who's the best dog of the week? There's some good dogs out there this week. A lot of dogs in NFL Week 1 did cover, and we have some huge, almost 3 possession lines in NFL Week 2. And which game are you looking forward to watching the most? I definitely want to see the Thursday night game. That's going to be a really good game. Kansas City Chiefs versus the Chargers. I want to see what happens there. I'll peep into the Raiders game at home versus the Cardinals. I think that probably end up being a blowout. The Buffalo Bills versus the Tennessee Titans at home. That I want to see what the Buffalo Bills will do. And Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Low key, that probably will be my favorite game of the week, right? I'm super high on the Eagles, but the Vikings are gonna come to play that game. So that should be a really fun game to watch. Let me know which game you're looking forward to watching the most. NFL Week 2. I am Jason Bovada. These are my 2022 NFL Week 2 picks. We have a 12-team parlay. We're risking $3.27 to win $1,149.86. Thank you for watching.